Yeah, we cheated, but we had it cheap way. I paid $200 for this chassis. This door came out of the local hospital. I don't ever throw anything away. Chicken salad out of chicken poop all these years, you know.
When you say you didn't get rid of anything, you meant it. You got all kinds of cool stuff in here. So we're standing here with Jimmy Means in front of his original race shop, and we're gonna go in there and he's gonna show us the evolution of it, all the things, old pictures, stories. And when did you move into this place?
1982.
1982.
Yeah.
And it's still, is that your old truck too?
Yes.
When did you start hauling stuff around with that?
Yeah, about 78.
I feel like I'm in a time machine right now. This is awesome. But you still do current cars in here too, which is even cooler. So let's check it out. Is this where your office always was?
Yeah, it used to be just this little foyer, and then this is part of it, but then we expanded, you know, went through the shop wall and made it a little bit bigger. Yeah, I used to, when I first moved here, I slept on the floor in that office.
Really?
Yeah.
How long did you do that for?
Maybe a month, because my family hadn't moved here. We hadn't moved to, you know, my family, my wife and my kids yet, so till I could get, you know, something rented for, you know, this is my place.
So this was the first place you went outside of where you were originally from?
Right.
This section here, was this what was here when you moved in?
It was just this section of the building. It was 90 feet long. That's all it was. And through the years, yes, we maybe made a little money. We just added on, so we needed more room and added on and added on and added on. So right now it's 380 feet long.
Wow.
And it's full of memorabilia and racing junk, so I don't ever throw anything away. You might need it. So.
Well, we like to hear that because we like to look at old things with stories. What was this room?
One time it was a dyno room. Now it's our gear room, and actually the dyno's been probably 3 or 4 different places in the building. As we've expanded and had more room, we just put it in a different place because it was just simpler to do it that way. And it just, like I said, we had more room. We made it a little bit better.
So you built this addition onto here after you moved in?
Yeah, that's an apartment up there. It's got a shower and stuff. I got it for some of my guys that, you know, that work for me, because it's hard to move somewhere and you know, and get selling, and you got to pay your deposit for your utilities and all that sort of stuff. So they come here and just go right to work, and I had to worry about getting all that stuff done. So it's helped out.
Yeah, that's a big help. And what kind of car are you working on right now? When I walked in here, you were welding on this thing.
That's going to be a road race car. I've just got so much stuff to build a road race car, so that's what we're going to make it. And it's probably I don't know where we use it or I sell it or whatever, but there's a big demand, I think, for road race cars this year, because we got 7 races on road courses. So, and I think 2 of them are back to back on the West Coast. So you better have a couple cars when you head that way, so you don't have to come back. Tear something up.
I just think it's so cool that you're in this spot. You've been in the same place the whole time, and there are still current cars coming out of here.
You kind of gotta, you know, evolve with the times too, you know, because what we used to do, the cars we used to have, you know, they're no longer. So you got to keep up with what's going on. So, and we've been able to do that. So, but only way that was able to maintain and still be here was that we made chicken salad out of chicken poop all these years, you know. We might have had a crashed car that we bought, fixed it, and went to the racetrack. Actually, back when I was still driving, we sent Jimmy Spencer home from Bristol with a used car that I paid $500 for the chassis from Junior Johnson, and an engine that I paid $500 for the cylinder heads. And we sent Jimmy Spencer home, and Jimmy had a McDonald's sponsorship at the time.
Wow.
So I didn't go brag about it because they were good to me, but I wanted to.
When you were in here in 82, 83, 84, how did this floor plan laid out? How did it flow?
Well, you know, we only had, at that time we only had 2 cars. And we even built it one time. We built a paint room in that corner because we had room to, but we didn't have I think we had a welder and a grinder and really no fabrication equipment because we didn't, it didn't need all the room. But as years went by, we got more equipment and stuff, so we could even pull the truck in here, our hauler out there, because we had room to. So we, like I said, we didn't have much to work with.
Yeah, I don't even know how many cars you got in here now, but it's a lot more than 2.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of room for 2 cars.
Yep.
When did you add the next portion of the shop?
It wasn't very long. It might have been a couple of years, I think. It didn't take too long because, we raced out of Huntsville, Alabama. I started cup in '76, and everywhere we went was a minimum 8 or 10 hours. And, and when we go to Richmond, heck, from Huntsville, Alabama, it was 12 hours. And if you go to Pocono, it's almost 17 hours. So it was the best thing I ever did to move here because we had so much more time to work on our race cars, and we could get back, a decent hour and kind of be a little bit more refreshed than we were when we raced out of Huntsville, Alabama. So naturally, and we got better. Our race team got better, and we made a little bit more money. So we had a little bit of money to build on and make everything better.
It makes a lot of sense. You're not going to do very good work if you're tired and burned out all the time.
A lot of times she had to be at the racetrack on Thursday, and that meant she left sometime on Wednesday. And coming home, we didn't get home till Monday morning. Some races 12 o'clock, midday. So then you had to turn around and do the same thing again in 2 days. We didn't have much time to work at the shop. So I made a decision where, if I'm still going to race, I've got to move, and it was the best move I ever made.
What do you have in here right now that has significance to you or a story behind it?
Well, this car, we're waiting on our appointment time to get re-inspected at the NASCAR Tech Center. We have to re-inspect them every 2 years. The certification goes away, so you have to redo it. But this car, I paid $200 for this chassis. And it was the first Toyota that Bill Davis, ever built. But that being said, we put a lot more money at, we bought the chassis, but this car has finished in the top 5 at Talladega, finished top 10 at Daytona multiple times, and a ton of top 15s, and we paid $200 for the chassis. So, it don't have to be new to run.
That's awesome.
Yep.
I think kind of the general perception of NASCAR now is that this stuff doesn't happen anymore, that it's not out there. It is. You're doing it.
I mean, the people that's got money is not going to do it like this, and and they've got the money to do it the other way. But we don't, so we have to do that if we want to be a part of it. But
wow.
The driver that I had when we ran those top 10s, he hasn't had a top 10 since he left. So I think that we're pretty proud of that.
Well, that is something to be proud of.
And most of my cars were, this was an RCR car, and that was an RCR car. That was a used or crashed chassis that we refurbished, and that's all. Like I said, that's the only way we're still in the sport. Is the way we do it.
So if that was the first chassis that Bill Davis built for a Toyota, you know what year it was? We'll see it on there. Yeah, it does say TRD on it, 0207, and maybe that's February 2007. Is that
something like that? Yeah.
Huh. And so when you said it didn't take very long to add this onto here.
No, it was a couple of years, and got a real good deal on it because the guy that we became friends with was a builder. So I don't even remember what it cost to do this add-on. And then we built this part on. We built the paint booth in that corner because we had room to, because we moved it out here.
So you just moved it from that corner to
that corner,
the next farthest corner.
And then later we scabbed a paint room on the side of the building. So it's about ready to fall down probably, but it's been there 30-something years. So that's where we do paint and body work.
You're still painting in the same spot too?
Yep.
When you built this, was this like your heavy fab area, right, to keep it clean from over there?
Right, but actually this building used to be a heavy fab steel building.
Huh.
That's what they manufactured. And the floors beat all the crap from all the heavy steel falling. So, I mean, I have spent a ton of money on these floors trying to make them nice, but they'll never be really nice because all the gouges in the floor. But you know, it's got epoxy paint and it stays a lot cleaner than just a concrete floor.
Yeah, well, the gouges give it character.
Yeah, well, it's got a lot of that then.
During the season when you're in full swing, how many guys are working in here usually?
Well, probably 5. You know, right now, you know, I had to tell my crew chief, Tim Brown, that he's been with me 14 years. I said, man, you know, the way things are going, you need to do what's best for you, and that's find a job, because I can't continue to paying you what I've been paying you, because I'm not making any money. So unfortunately he had to leave. And so right now we got 2 other guys, and right now I'm 72 and a half, and I got one guy that's 74 and the other guy's 76. So that's what we got working on these race cars right now.
Is that about the same amount of guys that you had back in, you know, whenever you were still running?
When I first started, you know, the reason I moved to Forest City was there's 2 guys that helped Cecil Gordon, and Cecil ran out of this town for a while, and they told me, said, if you'll come to, you know, if you'll move to Forest City, so we'll go to work for you. And that was Mike Connor and David Bidman. So that's what happened, and that's the only 2 guys that were on payroll back then. But we were fortunate that we had a ton of people that wanted to work on these race cars and wanted to go to the racetrack and help us, and they weren't paid. So back then, we were fortunate that people wanted to race like that, but now everybody wants money.
Yeah. I wondered how you ended up out here, because you're a couple hours from Mooresville. It took me a while to get here.
I can see that, and they're responsible for finding this building, and it was cheap rent back then. I think it was $325 a month. So, and also there's a guy here named Stud Murray that was a sponsor for me, and I think he gave me $500 a race. So, you know, I moved to. It's hard to move somewhere and nobody vouches for you, but I was fortunate that Stud Murray and Mike and David Bivens, you know, they were known. So I had a little bit of people that spoke for me highly. So, you know, it's a little bit easier.
Do you think that moving to a place that's a little bit farther off the beaten path helped you find volunteer help, because the people around here didn't have any other access to this world?
Probably so. And then at the same time, you know, if you're working back then, you know, most of the race shops are around Charlotte, not Mooresville. And you could quit one place and go, you know, block or 2 down the road and get a job. Here, you know, we're kind of isolated. So.
Hey, you're working for me, or you got to move.
And it's got its drawbacks too, because you have to move from Charlotte, where you can probably go 30 minutes and have a job. If you come here, you got to drive an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So but we also, like I said, you know, we even bought a trailer we put in a lot up here that people could come to work, and it didn't cost them anything. You know, they had free room and board and stuff. We paid the utilities, so they could just come and go to work, have a place to lay down and clean up. So,
that's pretty cool. So you had like a whole little ecosystem out here.
Well, I mean, you had to, because, like I said, it was hard to get personnel, and that just made it more enticing to them that it's not going to cost me to come to work.
Yeah. If you don't have as much living expense, then the money you're making is, you know, so to speak, worth more.
Right.
It doesn't go away right as soon as you get it. There's so much, like, normally when we walk through these places, there's just, you know, the building that has history is something else now. It's not full of new stuff that I'm looking at like the kid in the candy store wanting to like ask questions about. So I'm like flip-flopping between, you know, back then and right now. Hopefully you're following along or being entertained by all this.
Yeah, this is going to be that's an RCR car we've got all the updates and safety stuff done. We're just waiting for an appointment with NASCAR. It's kind of hard to come by right now with those new cup cars, all the inspection stuff they do on them. So I think we've got the first inspection date we have is January the 2nd, you know, and that's only a month, you know, from Daytona, and that's a Daytona car. So we'll be up, you know, and we got to get everything else inspected too. So we're going to be up against the wall. But
what is that shift lever connected to the?
That's how we bleed the clutch before we put the motor in the car. We roll the motor up to this and plug that in. Plug that into the clutch clutch cylinder and push that, and then we'll have a transmission in place. Then we'll make sure that it releases before we put it in the car.
Well, that's neat. You got a lot of little gadgets like that you make yourself to make your life easier?
Oh yeah. Well, actually, that is one of the slave cylinders, the size that we had for that hydraulic clutch. Something just like that. And then we had to rod it go in there with a T-handle, and we push that, which would push the cylinders in the truck. Like I said, I don't throw nothing away. This part of the building was built after that building that was my motor and engine assembly room. That was entirely building on by itself, and then we came in and tied these two buildings together, and then put this hall back here. It was two separate buildings, and we just tied them all together to be able to have some storage. And like I told you, I don't ever throw anything away, so there's stuff here for a while.
Oh, that's awesome. This is neat.
It's not, with NASCAR's rules, like, we got stuff that's not usable because they've changed what's legal. So, but maybe, we can't get a penny on the dollar for the stuff, probably.
Well, maybe you could. You never know. I kind of wonder what. You probably got all kinds of interesting stuff back there if you never threw anything away.
All the years I raced, in Cup and stuff, we did our own motors.
So when did you start doing your own motors in this building here originally?
1990.
90. So that was Alka-Seltzer era?
Right. These are distributors we ran back in the late 70s. These are our tack drive ball bearing distributor. And it's probably worth $1,000 today.
Yeah, some restoration guy would be all over that.
I got 4 of them brand new.
Who made those back then?
General Motors.
Okay.
And that's what we ran in with their electronic ignition back then. Same stuff that came on Corvettes, but some of this stuff, like I said, has been here forever.
When did you switch to Ford?
92.
92.
Yeah, they were doing, we were running Pontiacs and getting our butts beat by Fords, and I said, well, we've got to get more competitive, and was fortunate that Ernie Elliott would sell us parts, and I think we converted some of our Pontiacs to Fords, and Ford was good enough that we got some sheet metal from them. And it was definitely the way to go because they just drove better aero, and you could make good power out of the engine, out of used stuff. So it was a good move.
I think like a handful of places switched from GM to Ford back when the C3 head got hot.
Yeah.
Because you could have the canted valve versus them all in a row.
Yeah.
Did you have any C3 heads sitting around here? I just saw the blocks, so I didn't see any heads.
You got
a few.
Couple. That's D3s. Those are C's, but those are D heads. Those are brand new. I got a couple sets of C's and one set of C's anyway.
Yeah, that's interesting. You get 1997 C3, 2007 D3. You got these ones all epoxied up.
There must have been a restrictor engine back then.
I think you really do have the whole setup back here. Were these dyno rooms or one of them?
I built them just for assembly rooms.
Huh.
So, and they haven't had a whole lot of use the last few years, but I have a guy in Quincy, Illinois named Steve Nelson that does a lot of engine work for me, and he does a lot of the engines. I do a few of them, but he does a lot of them. Triple R Performance, and does a great job for us.
At least you're equipped here to kind of fix things instead of.
We can do it. You don't have to rely on other people. Our dyno eventually ended up there.
Was this the same dyno that you originally had in the front of the building and it's got moved back here?
It is. it's like I said, it's been moved 2 or 3 times, and it's a Stuska dyno with a D-pack, you know, and then it doesn't have all the bells and whistles, but it will tell us what we have, power wise. So and that thing is pretty old. That original dyno came from an engine builder back in the day named Parkinol, and I might have gave, you know, $3,500 for the whole setup at the time. And since then, I've had to have the brake rebuilt. I spent $6,000 on just having it rebuilt. But like I said, it does what we need. And that cooling tower over on the wall there came from Sapco Racing back in the day.
Oh, really?
John Wilson was the engine builder, and I think I paid $100 for that cooling tower. Still works. Does what we need. I've had quite a few late night calls from the police department, because back in the day, a lot of times we'd run an engine 12 o'clock at night, and neighbors didn't like that.
I was wondering about that. It looks like you got just exhaust sticking out the wall there. Like, what's
You can hear this thing, if the wind's right, you can hear it 5 miles away. So we try not to, you know, run it, but because it's not, you know, necessity now, but then we had to, because they're going to run that race whether we get there or not. And
so when you were adding these additions and stuff, are you in here cutting plywood to make doors and all that too?
Well, you know, we did a lot of the stuff, but I had a builder do that, so it wasn't, you know, like, I didn't take away from the race cars to build it, because I was fortunate and had enough dollars I could spend a little bit of money to get it done. But we did do a lot of the work ourselves, and everything wasn't bought new. Like, this door came out of the local hospital. So
what about those? Did those cabinets in there come out of somebody's kitchen?
They came out of my kitchen when we remodeled.
See, that's awesome. But it is the same stuff.
Yep.
Our mom's like, "Oh, do you want this table? I'm going to throw it away." Yeah, I'll take it.
You know, that counter came out of actually the counter in the other room in the assembly room, that came out of my house also.
This one right here.
And this room is just junk.
How do you end up with a door from a hospital?
The builder that built the building had access to it, because he did some work for the hospital, and whatever they were going to throw away, he took it home.
So your friends had the same mindset you did, where they're going to like pick a little here, I could use this, I could use that, and then whether they're builders or...
Don't throw it away if it's good. I mean, that's just crazy. So.
Ooh. What is this this car here?
That thing has history too. That's the car that Jimmy Spencer won the Busch Class. I believe it was 1990. It was a Thunderbird. And
is that a Junior Johnson car?
It was originally a Junior Johnson car. And I got to think about my years. But we took that car for the ARCA race at Daytona, and we qualified third with it for the ARCA race. And our driver on the car was fast. We qualified third, and I had it cheated up so much that it could run faster by itself than the lead draft could do. But when they dropped the green flag, he went from first to second, back to first, bent every valve in the motor, and we were done. But it was fast.
What'd you do to it?
Oh, I cheated it.
Like how? Did this have the hydraulic spring buckets in the back that Junior was doing back then?
This car didn't, but I have had those.
Huh.
But no, we raised the back of the roof up and a ton, and lowered it, you know, manipulated where the spoiler goes to get it out of the air. So it was just fast. And we did the same thing back when Ed Barrier drove for us in the 77 car that we ran out of here. We were the only Ford to make the race at Talladega, which was the Thunderbird, because I knew how to cheat those things up. Only Ford to make the race, and Jack Rouse went home. And that was right after the week that we won the race at Bristol with a Ford. Only Ford has ever, not Bristol, Hickory. Only Ford's ever won a race, a Busch race at Hickory.
Huh. So. Did you figure out a way to get air around the plate, or were you just doing stuff with the body?
That was earlier.
So what was the last time this car was used for something. Is that?
Well, I had a deal to run a race at Talladega with Bruce Bechtel out of California, and I kind of my tires I had were Goodyears that we painted Hoosiers on the side of them, just to break it, to shake it down, because we've never been with this body on it. We never, and I didn't want to cut a tire down, so we shook it down and we were putting the Hoosiers on, and then somebody ratted it out that what we had done to the tires, and the NASCAR or ARCA guy told me to go to the ARCA office. And the director said, "What'd you do with the tires?" I said, "I'm just shaking down on them. I'm not going to try to race them." "Well, you sure you're not going to race them? Because you're out of here." So I lost a $25,000 deal trying to save a couple bucks. So
you just painted the tires you had instead of buying Hoosiers?
I already but I already had a set to put on it, but I wanted to shake it down. So, because I didn't want to cut a tire down with something rubbing or something. But yeah, I lost that deal. And I just, I got sentimental value to it,
Oh yeah, this is cool.
Because, like I said, it didn't. I think it was a Smoking Joe car, camel car, back when it won.
Got a whole pile of boom tubes here.
Yeah,
I love these things.
We need to throw them away, and I will one day. But they're still, parts of them are still good. I mean, if it's still good, I want to use it.
What did you do in this building for this addition part here originally?
It's probably just storage, but my son ran a late model car out of here for a few years.
Okay.
So we use this part of it not to be, interfere with what we're doing up there.
And then, does it keep going?
Oh yeah. So, more junk.
Is there anything else that is interesting in here? Like, it's got history to it. Those plastic coat spray paint doesn't look like that anymore.
Well, believe it or not, that's been up there probably 35 years. So that oil's been up there. Back in the 80s, 70s, late 70s and 80s, Union would give us a case of oil every race. So, and give us STP and all that. Like I said, that oil's been up there a while, but now they don't give you anything.
Oh yeah, this is Union Racing oil.
Old cool suits we used to run, but had a cooler full of ice water and we run it through a vest. So it's kind of bulky, but it did the job.
So you just had an igloo cooler straight up on the floorboard of the car in there?
Yeah. And a pump, but it worked. So, and it wasn't expensive like what the things are today.
Are those some C3 blocks down there?
Yeah. Ford stuff. Still got a little bit of Ford stuff left.
Huh.
And I used to go to a lot of auctions. I got those oil pans. Those are a Hendrix oil pan. The last used one I bought from Hendrix used parts place was $500. I may never use them, but I bought those for $10 a piece at auction. So if I'm not gonna turn that down.
Yeah, you never know.
Never know. So, but there are 5 stages, and now we're running 6 stages. But there's a couple horsepower difference in the 5 and 6, but they're cheap. I took them.
Where were you sourcing your Ford blocks from back then? Did they come from somebody else first?
No, basically all the Ford blocks were new that we got from Ford Race Parts.
Okay.
So, and they weren't that, I can't remember what they were, but they weren't that expensive. And they came with the right caps and all that stuff on them. We probably had to, and I don't remember if we had to machine them for a roller cam bearings or they were the right size. They just, that was 30 years ago. I don't remember.
So did we finally reach the end of the building here?
Yeah, this is the last building we added on. I think I built this in probably 98 when we had the Lear deal, and then as soon as I built it, my owners that I was working for, it was time for them to retire, and they lost they worked for the UAW Ford with through I guess help with contract negotiations between Ford Motor Company and the unions, but they retired from their position, and then they no longer had any clout. you know, to go to somebody and say, hey, sponsor our race car. So then, you know, I built it, and then I built it with plans of charging them rent, you know, for it. But we made it through it and paid for it. So we got you want to look something from back in the day. Let me go over here and see if I can find one.
Oh yeah, anything. I could say the longer I look for stuff, the more interesting things I see. Man, this is awesome.
This is the stuff we built back in
Oh yeah.
yes, back in shoot, mid '80s, that skirted the NASCAR car rules.
I meant that one over there that's got the welding on the bottom flange.
It, put flanges on it to make it to fit the cylinder heads.
That is so neat.
When you say you didn't get rid of anything, you meant it. You got all kinds of cool stuff in here.
And every time, you know, you'll find something that, hey, this, you know, there's even stuff here that's brand new that we forgot about.
Is that a rumple decal?
Yes.
What does that say?
I believe it is.
Isn't that the furniture place that sponsored JD McDuffie?
And I don't know why. I don't remember why we have it, but yeah.
You were never sponsored by Rumple?
I can't remember. You know, I can't remember. So you got to remember that's 40 years ago. Or no, not 40, maybe 30.
Those boxes all full of pistons?
They are.
Wow. Man, I didn't even look up.
Well, you got to remember there's 40 years of racing out of this building. So, and you know, I just didn't throw it away. We just piled it up.
What kind of block is that?
That's a Ford.
Man, that's awesome.
Another one down there. It looks like a Chevy.
That's a late model stock engine.
Okay.
Short block.
What is going on with this thing?
It's an old Xfinity car, and they're making it into a vintage racer. I rent the back part of this building to some guys that run vintage racing.
So these cars in here aren't yours?
No, they're not mine.
Okay.
That one over here is the 92 there. That was, my son rented it at Hooters Pro Cup, and that was one of my last Cup cars.
Really?
Yep.
What year would have been the last time you raced that?
Possibly 92, 93.
Broadway Motor Co. What's the what is Broadway? It's on your truck out there too.
It's a car wholesaler.
Okay. Well, they were on there way back in that picture you showed me too.
Yeah, like I said, from 82 on for a while, 4 or 5 years. You know, then it got to be where, you know, we had the opportunity to get, you know, more than $500 a race. It's a deal where I said, Stud, I hate to, but, you know, I know you can't afford to pay any more, but I can get more. So that's what I got to try to do. So kind of hurt his feelings, but I understand. But at the same time, it takes a lot of money to do this. So
you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have a chassis dyno out that door.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes, you do. Huh. So you could just open the door, back the back of the car out, and that explains the anchors right there. Oh, that's so freaking cool.
I don't know if it's still over here, but I'll tell you, if I can find it, if it's still there. Now, here it is. This is a Daytona and Talladega deck lid that we built. This is got an adjustable spoiler.
Really?
Which is totally illegal.
What are you looking for in here?
Some aluminum rotors were made for Daytona and Talladega that we used and got by with. but I don't know where they're here somewhere in this building.
What was the weight difference between aluminum versus normal?
Well, the aluminum was only 1/8 inch thick. It was huge.
It's like not having brakes at all.
Yeah, we had to space the pads out with a spacer, but like I said, the only time we used them was coming off the fourth turn to get in the pits, and it made a heck of a racket. But
did it actually stop the car?
Oh yeah,
like
all you need is something for the pistons from keeping pistons from coming out. The front ones would have stopped you. But yeah, I don't know where they're at. I saw them not too long ago.
Or an 1/8 of an inch thick, but like it'd be hard to find in here.
Yeah,
There's you got a lot of brakes.
Yeah, that's the last one of the things we did. But I mean, yeah, we cheated, but we had to cheat the cheap way. We couldn't cheat with technical stuff because we didn't know that.
There's cheating and cheating cheap way.
We had to cheat the cheap way, or cheat the cheap way. And it's a deal where I'm not ashamed because I had to make a living.
Yeah, you did it. I think everything you've talked about so far are things that you never got caught doing, so you must have been pretty good at it.
Yeah, I think so. They're probably pretty bold at the same time from some of the stuff that we did.
Was there ever anything that you thought of or had seen other people doing that was not the cheap way that you were like, dang, I wish I could do it like that?
Not really. Not really. Because, we were pretty closed mouth back then, because, the way you get caught, somebody else knows about it. So
yeah, and you were away from everybody else, so.
I did get caught with something at Daytona one time with a spoiler that I made look like an airplane wing, as far as the curvature of it was like that.
Huh.
And Gary Nelson was the first day on the job, our first race on the job, and he already caught Spencer with the webbing out of the back of his deck lid, which would let it flex. And I had this spoiler that was, it would, the first 3 inches you put the indicator, it measured the right degrees, but the top part of the spoiler, it was 5 or 7 degrees less.
Huh.
And Nelson said, "What am I supposed to do about this?" I said, "We'll just average it." And he was mad, and he slammed the deck lid down, and it went 1 inch below the quarter panels. Threw me out. And I went up to Dick Beatty. I said, "Dick, there's about 52 cars here this week." I said, "Next week will be Rockingham. We're lucky to have 40, and I'll be one of those 40. So if you can, take it easy. I know you got to do something. I know you got to find me. But if you can, take it easy on me." Never heard anything else about it.
So there was a lot of political maneuvering associated with that, just as much as the mechanical side of it.
Oh yeah. We were low for almost 20 years, so it was I just realized, next week or January the 14th, we got inducted in the Alabama Pioneer Racers Hall of Fame, and I got to doing some math, and there's only one cup driver from Alabama that's ran more cup races than me, and that's Bobby Allison.
Really?
Yep. Donnie Allison only ran 250 or something. Neil ran 300 or something. I ran 455, and 450 of those was in cars that we built, cars and motors I built. So we did it ourselves.
That's impressive.
Well, their races they ran, they were really quality finishes and won races, and we never won a race in that series. So
what kept you from stepping down to Busch with the attempt to be more competitive or staying running Cup?
Well, at that time in my career, I was all about making a living, and Cup paid more money. And if we got into the plan money, then we could survive. And Busch didn't have that type of plan.
Interesting.
So it was all about feeding my family, and and it just just like today, the Cups is the deal to be in versus Xfinity, because they get all the attention and they pay all the money. I mean, we run a race at like Watkins Glen within 10 laps of what Cup runs, and we don't get 10% of the money that they get. So, do you remember one of those aluminum rotors that we had?
What?
Aluminum rotors. Remember those ones I cheated up on?
Paint can was right up yonder.
The what?
Paint can.
Paint can.
That 25-pound paint can.
Oh, where is
Spray
it?
bomb. It was up yonder on that thing. I don't know if it still is or not.
I told him
A
about
25-pound paint can.
Yeah. That's my old man creeper. So I fall down on that so I could work.
What was the 25-pound paint can for?
That weight
Hidden weight.
would put it in a place that you could, you take ballast out of the car and you would replace it with ballast that you could take out.
Huh.
And again, if you got caught, it's a big fine, because all weight has to be secure. And we'd stick it in the vent holes of the side windows.
So what was the paint can just went, you just used the paint can because it fit in the vent tube?
Right.
Okay, I thought maybe like you just paint can, like, oh, I forgot this can of paint in here, let me just get that out real quick.
Basically, we made it a WD-20, SD-20. That's what everybody used. So that, if you saw that was something it was always around the race car.
Something that had plausible deniability if someone
Yeah.
did see it stuffed in there.
It might have been a window cleaner too, but yeah. What we did, we would melt the lead into a pipe that's that big around, then we'll split the pipe and get the lead out, and then turn it down perfect on the race so it's fit in the can.
Let's take a look at the truck. I'm gonna get the story behind the truck. Jimmy's hauler is going to be in a separate video, so you'll want to go to the channel page, subscribe, and go look at that. So there's the current hauler. Is there a backstory on this trailer?
No.
You don't know what it was used for before you had it?
Well, there is a backstory. It's I think it came from Rick Crawford's truck team.
Really?
Yeah.
My dad was friends with his manager, and when we would go to Michigan, we'd go in there and I'd climb up to the top and go in the backup truck and poke buttons. So this might be the trailer that I was crawling around in when I was 8 years old.
Rick Crawford had it for his truck team, and then I think Mark Smith had it, and then I bought it from maybe JTG. That might not be the right words, but they had Xfinity team. I bought it from them after my other hauler burned up.
Huh.
I had before this.
Is the lounge area changed around in there at all, or does it probably look the same as it used to?
Well, it used to have a table in there, and I took it
Oh,
out.
yeah, I wonder if I'd recognize it. I don't know. It's very possible that this is it, because this is not. I remember I was able to get up there by myself.
Right. Well, there's some steps right here.
Yeah, I was only this tall, and this is not a very big ledge here, so I definitely could have done that without any assistance, and I could stand up in there. I remember I didn't have to duck.
Pull that snaps off of that thing, that black thing. Yeah.
Oh my God. No way. That's crazy. Talk about things you don't expect to find. Like, if this is that same trailer, some of the core memories I have that got me hooked on all of this happened in this trailer. And back then you didn't know anything about Rick. He seemed like a perfectly normal guy. And now he had to go freaking screw all that up.
Yep, that's the only one thing he's to be known for.
Yep.
That's terrible.
He was not very good at PlayStation 2. I played Dirt to Daytona against him, and we did one race in every series. And he only beat me on the dirt one because I was too young to understand the concept of counter steering, and I just hit everything that moved. But all the other ones I won. I was proud of that. Man, my dad would recognize that front area better than I would.
They had a table in there. We made it a lot nicer looking when we took the table out.
Was that the paint booth door right there? Oh, yeah. I got so wrapped up in the hauler, I forgot to look at the paint booth. When did you build the paint booth?
Right after we did that edition. It's been here quite a while too, probably early 80s, 84 maybe. I brought this door from a building in Alabama
Really?
because somebody wanted to close it and didn't want a roll-up door, so they took the door out. So well, I'll take it to North Carolina, and that's where it came from.
When was the last time you painted a whole car in here? Because it's like, it's all wraps now.
Yeah, we still paint them. We can paint a car for less than $150. A wrap's $1,500 to $2,000, so we still paint
You just spray them flat black?
because it's cheap. You know, red's the most expensive paint there is. So if you wanted to paint a red car, it's $500. So, but NASCAR is changing this. They're not going to allow us to paint them in the future. Got to be a wrap. So
Really?
that's another thing that's not going to help us.
Wow.
So I don't know why that is.
What does it really matter? Like,
It
are
doesn't
you
really
doing
matter.
like,
It doesn't really matter, except they probably get a dime off 5 stars parts. So there's something to be gained from somebody.
it makes sense. That squirrel cage fan, was it pulling air from in here?
That's how we heat it in the wintertime.
Oh, okay. That's funny.
It works. And all the heat goes back this corner anyway, so that's a good place to capture it. And actually, we should have put it back further to the corner because that's where it's the hottest.
Was that like an afterthought, or did you do that at the same time that you built the paint booth?
It's an afterthought.
You're like, man, it's cold in there. Let's just cut a hole in here and blow some of this warm air in it.
Afterthought.
You got any old pictures of like stuff in here back in the day over the years?
No,
You didn't save any?
didn't take any.
How have you kept doing it for all these years?
Well, you have enough highs that kind of gets you over the lows, and it's a really good feeling when you go and run well with what we have to race with, and when you can, like when we finished 4th at Talladega with a $200 car basically, and use parts from another race team for the engine, so and outrun all the other guys with their new engines. So just that kind of gives you some incentive, but that's hard to do anymore. It's just so much money. Everybody you race against now is leasing a motor, and that's $32,000 for one race, and you can't win that much. So that's what's disheartening, where that it's got to where it's just too much money to do it. And those guys, I think Kyle Busch gets $150,000 a race for his truck. So who can pay that? That's ridiculous. That's where the sport's got to. And Gibbs' rental car deals. I mean, they signed so and so to drive it, but they're also bringing money to pay for it. They didn't get their own their talent. They got their own daddy's money or somebody's money. That's what's sad about the sport now. It's just it's just money.
It seems like the people who have the money or have always had the money never developed any kind of unique or interesting personality characteristics because they have not had to do anything to get there.
They wrote a check.
Yeah.
I mean, back when I started late model racing, you could go to Chevrolet dealership for $1,200, buy your short block, put a rotor cam in it, and buy a set of angle plug heads, and you have $1,200 in a motor and go race and win $1,000. Now you got 25 or 30 in a late model motor, and you go and win 500. So and they're paying those guys of those late models. They're paying anywhere from $8,000 to $15,000 a race to drive those things. So it's crazy.
That's ridiculous.
You know, Derek Thorne just won the snowball derby, which Derek drove for me one time. We went to Richmond. We didn't make the race, but it wasn't his fault. But I asked him what his budget was for, you know, because they had to come from California for the snowball derby. He said $80,000. They paid $30 to start, so something's wrong.
Wow.
So
even when you were running yourself back then, did you kind of evaluate yourself upon your own standard, instead of expecting to beat everybody else? Were you just kind of like comparing your output based on what you felt you were able to do? Like,
what we were racing against, everybody had basically the same stuff. You know, the short block from Chevrolet Place instead of heads from Chevrolet Place. We put a rotor cam in it and kind of blueprint in the motor, and you go win races. You go out and run Donnie Allison, Bobby Allison, Red Farmer, Alton Jones, Jerry Lawler, all those guys at Birmingham. When I went in the back gate at Birmingham, I had a chance to win. I never did not go to a race and think I couldn't win, even early on.
did you kind of have to like force your perspective to change as to like race to survive and pay the bills instead of racing to win as time went on?
When I went to Cup, it totally changed. Racing to survive. And I think the last year late model racing, I think I won $32,000. My first year of Cup, I won 14. So it was a big eye opener, because then you had to travel to all the different places, and you had to make pit stops. And we didn't have the personnel to take and afford to take them, and all the little guys pulled together, and they would pit everybody else's car. So that's just and that's the reason we didn't run well, is because we lost laps in the pits. So, but that's a way. I done made my mind up. That's what I was going to do, and then to put all my eggs in this basket, and that's what I was going to continue to try to do. And we got over the hump and survived.
I'm sure there were lots of times along the line where you could have made personal decisions instead of business ones, but you took the conservative route.
Well, there's times that if I had that crystal ball, I'd have bought those tires. I'd done something a little extra. Got some guys for a pit crew type deal. It's like we led races at Richmond, old Richmond, and we never bought a new tire. It was all used tires that we brought from home. If I knew that we were going to run that well, I think we ended up 9th and never bought a new tire. So I know if we'd have had tires, top 5 easily. All the big dogs, they would pit when the cautions came out, and I still had gas. I would stay out there. I'd start on the pole. They couldn't pass me for a few laps. So I know if we had tires, we could have really ran well.
Yeah, the part of the reason for making these videos is to, the history and everything is interesting and cool, but we want somebody who's watching this to take something away from them, from the story, that can be applied to their own life somehow, like some kind of value from it, because you've seen a lot of things, you've been a lot of places, and you got a lot of wisdom. Well, we hope you enjoy this stuff. I think if you watched a 51-minute long video and you're listening to me talk right now, you probably did either that, or maybe you just left your TV on and you forgot it was on. Either way, if you're listening right now, we're glad you're here.
Yes, we are.
Yes. And if you want to further support what we're doing, you can check out staplesandautoworks.com. And you could also sign up as a channel member. If you're on a browser where it says subscribe and join, if you hit join, then it gives you one of those cool badges next to your name when you leave a comment. We answer your comments quicker over those who are not members, because it allows you to filter them on our end, among other things. On the membership section of the channel, like on the main page, there's a little video that kind of explains all that. But if you like the hoodie or the shirt that we wear in the videos, this is what they are. This is the back of the sweatshirt I was wearing in the video with Jimmy. I'm wearing the Good Wrench style one right now. We have shirts with this on it and hats, which I'm not wearing the matching hat right now, but this is another one of them. I'm really bad at this. And we have stickers.
Oh.
What?
You're like talking nonstop, so I'm just kind of like sitting here.
Oh, okay, well, you take over. I'm just driving this whole thing into the ground anyway.
Okay, so we have stickers. You get 5 stickers for $9, which is like a deal. And then we have low stock and the uncovering stock car racing history shirts.
That's the back.
Yeah, that's the back.
And then this is the
the
front. Yeah, looks like an old contingency decal.
Yeah, these are really cool, but there's not very many of them left. We're out of stock in quite a few sizes.
We rarely order more than one load of a particular design before it gets phased out and replaced with something else. So if something is there and it's in your size, if you would miss out on it if it were gone, you should get it now. Not to sound like a, you know, pushy salesman, but it's true.
It's the hoodie of the Trophy Hunter shirt.
Yeah.
These are nice. They're really thick. I actually picked this hoodie. It's like a different style of hoodie than we usually have because it was really warm. Anyway, one of Von Gittin Jr.'s guys gave me one of these hoodies and it was great. It kept me warm and I really liked it. So we did new hoodies.
So if you're still here, you're still watching, we didn't bore you to death. Dog's gonna make some noise. Check out staplesanautoworks.com. Get you something.
I pack your orders and write you a handwritten note and we both sign it.
Yep, everything comes from right here because we are small business.
Our living room is literally in the shop because this is where we spend all of our time.
Yeah.
If we're not filming something.
Yep, so welcome to our living room. This is the tour. Okay. If you haven't seen the other Jimmy Means videos yet, you need to go watch them. I don't know what else to say other than thank you guys for everything. You're the best and you're intelligent people because you watched this whole thing and you learned a lot.